what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV.
SPTV is back with more coverage of the Danny Masterson trial. This is Aaron here with my attorney friend, Zach Morgan.
Good evening, Aaron. I think at this point in the week, you and I are both pretty worn slick.
I am, yes, 100%. So we are going to make this very concise, efficient stream here. We're not going to do an hour-long video. I just accidentally did a 1 hour and 15-minute video. It was supposed to be 20 minutes. Okay, so look, there's one thing I texted you about on a break in the middle of the day. Just before lunch, when Jane Doe 3 finished her testimony, and she was dismissed, and the jury was dismissed. Before court broke, Philip Cohen basically said, "Your Honor, I need to be heard." And it's always funny how Philip always, his whole attitude when talking to the judge is like a put upon, this sounds so dismissive and I don't mean it that way, a put upon child who's just like, I know I'm calling him a child. I'm saying I'm trying not to be dismissive. His whole persona is like, ugh, whatever you say, Judge, if I have to, can I this, can I that? But he's like, Judge, look, we've heard all this Scientology testimony. There's many other people coming up who are going to testify to the same stuff. And then he said this, let me make sure I'm getting the numbers right. He goes, Your Honor, we are well beyond the 352. And in my opinion, we are already well into a 353. What the hell was he talking about?
So I'll preface this with the caveat of I'm not licensed to practice in California, but I did look up that rule. California Evidence Code Rule 352 says that the judge may, in his or her discretion, throw a question out, strike testimony from the record. Basically, the judge has a gatekeeping provision to determine what evidence is admissible. When I say evidence, I mean testimony is admissible and which testimony and evidence is not. It sounds like, well, based on our discussions over the last couple of days, she's been doing that fairly frequently. Nope, can't go there, ask it a different way. Where's the foundation? Even if no attorney objects, she's gatekeeping. Cohen is arguing that she has not done her gatekeeping job and she has let testimony in that she shouldn't have. And the next rule then is Rule 353, which says if a judge or if the fact finder, the jury, is allowed to receive and hear testimony that's not admissible, it's grounds for reversible error. He's essentially building the record for appeal that if he gets an adverse verdict, you absolutely can expect an appeal. But if he gets an adverse verdict, he's building the record and he's putting his arguments on the record because the appellate court doesn't see videos. They just read the transcript of what happened. So you just cite to the various arguments in the transcript.
Got it. So Layla Bradley is asking, why does Zach sound so bad? Layla, it's just a connectivity problem. That's why we're going to keep this video short and concise, cover the content we want to cover, and call it a day. Okay, so then after Cohen said all that, he said, Your Honor, if that's how you're going to rule, can we get a 402 before Claire Headley testifies? And she said, I'm not granting any other continuances, no other delays. The answer is no. So what does him asking for a 402 possibly have to do with her thinking it was going to require essentially a delay?
Sure. So 402, under both the California rules and the federal rules of evidence, most states base their rules of evidence on the federal rules in some capacity, including the states in which I'm admitted to practice. Rule 402 deals with admissibility of evidence, specifically relevance. In order for something to be admissible at trial, it must be relevant. There's a legal definition of relevant. But what the defense is arguing is, you've said Claire Headley can testify, but we want to put her on the stand outside the presence of the jury, conduct an examination of her, ask her the questions we want to ask her on cross, and let you, the judge, determine whether or not that testimony is relevant and admissible.
Got it. Okay. All right. That makes sense. That does make sense. Okay, so let's just jump into some of the chats that I already see. So Aaron, important, caught your last live. Late to the post. Dr. Ziv is a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. Psychiatrists are physicians, MDs, or DOs. Psychologists are PhDs, not interchangeable. So I actually know that she's a psychiatrist. I must have misspoken. I probably was thinking psychiatrist and then probably said forensic psychologist, but she is a psychiatrist. And yes, I actually do know the difference. But thank you. If I said that, that was incorrect. Okay. Goddess of TGAC. I wish I was in Burbank. I wish I was in the Burbank, California library talking to a friend about SPTV and the trial. Just as I was referring to your channel, a random dude chimed in, "Hey, Ron." A guy did walk by me as I was on the corner of my scooter outside the courthouse and said like, "Hey, I watch your channel. It's really funny." And it's funny because he was like this tatted out dude. You know, he didn't look, I don't know. That's not like, what does a fan of my channel look like? He didn't strike me as a guy that's watching a lot of SPTV, but he clearly was. So that is very funny. Thank you, Goddess of TGAC, for the good news. Cat and Maggie says, my final pitch on behalf of Big French Dip. Felipe's is only 2 to 3 blocks north of the courthouse. Take Main till you get to North Alameda, then less than a block up, get a double dip meat of your choice. Well, I'm telling you, Felipe's is getting some business from me, without a doubt. Okay, what is this one? Farm DMS PhD. Okay, just sending my support. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much.
So that's actually PharmD, which is a doctor of pharmacy, and MS is a master's of science and a PhD. So this is somebody who has about $3 million in student loan debt from graduate school.
Holy shit. PharmD, MS, PhD. My God. Well, thank you for watching SPTV, and thank you for the super chat. Lily, an expert can be in theology law. Wait, what? An expert can be in theology law without being a priest, and the court's allowed to testify. Scientology trying to say Claire isn't an expert. This is what happens when you are a closeted religious doctrine. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for that. Jackie Hall. It sounds like the defense opened the door to bring in Scientology email hacking with the changed email about Bijou. How much latitude do you think the judge will give the prosecution to dive into it? Excellent question, actually. At the end of the hearing, after everyone was dismissed, she actually admonished both sides. I thought this was some of the best example of fair play I've ever seen. She said, you guys have both opened up doors neither one of you wants to open up, so knock it off. I was like, God damn. And she gave examples. She said, you open the door to this and they could come back with this. You open the door with this and they could come back with this. You don't want that. So let's keep it tight, keep it concise. And she's actually has given them permission to ask leading questions to prevent the witnesses from inadvertently going off. And she was pissed off that they were asking such general questions when they were going through such sensitive territory. I was, you learn so much being in the courtroom. It's awesome. Okay. Ken's channel says, Aaron. Oh, Ken, thank you so much. You're in LA. This is enough for an Uber to In-N-Out. That's 5 miles from you. Get a double, no onions, fries, and drink the other mandatory meal. Adobado, or El Pastor tacos. Pro tip, lots of lime. Don't blow this, pun intended. Thank you, Ken's channel. I very, very much appreciate that. Okay, let me see. I really do think that is probably it. Just making sure. Don't want to ignore anybody. Yep, that's it, guys. Hey, short and sweet. The shortest video we've ever done with my attorney friend, Zach Morgan. All right. Anything else you want to say, Zach? Are we good?
I think so. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I know it's going to be a short day. I think court convenes about an hour and a half later than it normally does. And we'll see what happens. A bit interesting. I'm curious to know how long the judge's patience is going to hold out witnesses not being ready. Lawyers are generally told witnesses need to be ready. And if you think you're going to get to him today, have him here today. If you don't, he'll be here tomorrow. But they're right now, all of those witnesses, except for, well, I guess even theoretically the Jane Does, are actually under a subpoena to be there. So they can't just choose not to come. And so judges tend to give a little bit of leeway. But at some point, the judge says, we're not going to waste this jury's time and my time. Get your witnesses here and get rid of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jane Doe 1 will start testifying tomorrow, so we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow evening. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see
about rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, Oh Dancing for My Love, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe